hopefully I'm doing my job of confusing you. It's, again, I'm assuming various levels of programming competency. If you're having trouble, again, I recommend either meeting me during office hours so I can go over this individually with you, or looking at the book. The book is a great resource for this stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and do another Boolean one, which is going to be very interesting. Public static Boolean has adjacent match. Okay, int, and we'll do an int again. And what this one will do, because the name isn't necessarily, super illuminating, is that what we're gonna look at pairs of numbers, and we're gonna say, okay, if two adjacent numbers are the same, return true, otherwise return false. So, like for instance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's false. But on the other hand, this over here, 3, 2, 2, 1, 4, we've got two 2's next to each other, so that's going to return true. On the other hand, this 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, that's a false as well, because none of the items that are next to each other are equal to each other, right? So we return true if there's two items that are next to each other that are equal to each other. So this brings us to an interesting kind of question. So for int I is equal to 0, I is less than array.length, right? This is how we know how to go through each of these. But if int num is equal to array sub I, how do I get the next number? Right? If I'm looking at 1, how do I get 2 if I'm currently at this index over here? If I'm currently at this index over here, how do I get this index? If I'm at this index over here, how do I get this index? If I'm at this index, how do I get this index? Right? And again, all I'm asking is, if I'm at index I, how do I get the next index over? Well, what is the next index over? If I'm currently at index I is a number. The one that's 1 to the right over is what? It's I plus 1. So whenever you see an I plus 1, an easy way to think about that is I plus 1 means the 1 to the right, the item to the right. Minus 1 would mean the 1 to the left. So what we're going to do is that we're going to look at each number. And again, this has actually a small error in it that's intentional. So int num is equal to I. Next num is, next num, that's not the error I was thinking of, is equal to I plus 1. And then we got to ask simply, if they match, return true. So if num equals next num, return true, which can be shortened again to just simply saying, if the thing that I'm currently at is equal to the thing that to my right, I plus 1, return true. Else return false. Well, not else return false. Why? That would mean basically as soon as we check the first item again, we would totally just we would just make our determination of the first pair. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. So sure, we can use that one again. Hello, how are you? Has adjacent match are true, right? 0, 0, 2, 0, 2. And if we do this, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, we will get false, right? Actually, we get error. Index 5 out of bounds for length 5. Now, why is that? Well, let's think about this actually. So when we're at 2, when we're at index 0, we are going to go ahead and check index 1. And when we're at index 1, we're going to check index 2. When we're at index 2, we're going to check index 3. And when we're at index 3, we're going to check index 4. And when we're at index 4, right? We get the one I'm currently at and the one to my right. But if I'm at the last item, there is no to my right. Oof. So the way we adjust that is, since we are going to be looking one to the right, we subtract one over here, right? So that will stop when we get to index 3. Why do we want to stop there? Well, because if we go to index 4, we can't check any more to the right. Also note that we don't have to check to the left at all, because, if my thing to the right is, if I'm same as the thing to my right, then I'm also the next guy, his thing to the left is going to be me. So we'd get the same answer so there's no need to check to the left and to the right. So if we run this again with that -1, we'll no longer go out of bounds.